Welcome, viewers and listeners, to another edition of CHP Talks. I'm here today with Stephanie Bakker from Westlock, Alberta. Stephanie, it's great to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Rod. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And those who are following the news, especially Alberta news, and I don't think you have to look too deep to find it, this story resonated with some people, either for good or for evil. Some liked the decision and some did not. But anyways, I'll just give you an introduction to Stephanie and her work in Westlock. She is a mother of two. She lives in Westlock, Alberta, where she grew up. She and her husband moved to Vancouver, lived in the Lower Mainland for about 12 years before coming to their senses, as they say, and moving back to where housing is affordable. They had no intention of getting involved in local politics, but the town council's biased attitude towards anyone who disagreed with their DEI plans for the town spurred them into the ring. After 8 months of petitioning, hard work, and stirring up wrath, unintentionally, I'm sure, Stephanie and the Neutrality Bylaw Team saw the fruit of their efforts, and they were able to have passed by council a bylaw requiring all flags and crosswalks in Westlock to remain neutral. That is, only government-approved flags would go up, and their initiative passed by 24 votes. So that's quite a thing. How long did that go on from the time you began putting this petition together to when you finally got the fruit of those efforts?
It was about 8 months altogether from the first council meeting to getting the bylaw passed. So we started petitioning in the summer of 2023.
Right. Well, that required not only some thoughtfulness, but some persistence, because often the first answer is no, right? We had a similar thing here I live in the village of Telkwa, but close to the city of Smithers on Highway 16 here in northern British Columbia. And we have a pride crosswalk and pride flags at one of the main intersections on Main Street. And I'm involved with the local pro-life group. I have been for about 30 years. And we made we thought, a very reasonable request to the town. If they're going to have pride flags, we would like to have the pro-life flag also displayed. Of course, they rejected that. I shouldn't say of course, but they did reject that. And they said, well, the pride flags are welcoming to everyone, and the pro-life flag would be divisive and political in nature. And I don't know. It's you have to talk out of both sides of your mouth to think that makes sense. So you did find that you have a law in Alberta. I don't think we have the same in BC, where a 10% of the population of the town signing a petition forces the town council either to pass the proposed what the petition is about, or to put it to do they use the word referendum or plebiscite there?
Plebiscite, yes.
Okay. And I just looked that up because I was unclear the difference between a referendum and a plebiscite, but according to the spot where I just looked it up, it said a referendum would be binding and a plebiscite is not entirely binding, but it often influences the decision makers. So if that's the case, then your town council was moved by the will of the majority, which they should be at all times. They're elected to represent the citizens of Westlock. What kind of a process, how many town council meetings did you have to go to, and what was the response when you were meeting with these folks?
Well, I had gone to the first council meeting that they had. I guess they had planned in the background to paint this crosswalk, but they kind of sprang it on the town last minute. That they announced that they're about to do it, I believe, in about 2 weeks' time, or very shortly after they announced it. So I went to the town meeting that was happening in between their announcement and the painting of the crosswalk, just to kind of make a plug for neutrality. I feel that neutrality is the best way for a town to actually be inclusive, and that to elevate one group over another just makes for division. So it wasn't so much what they were putting on the crosswalk, It was just that they were promoting any ideology at all as our council. And so I went in to talk to them, and I didn't really expect it to make much difference to what they were going to decide. But what I didn't expect was the way that they reacted to the people of the town that were asking them to just remain neutral. They're very condescending, very smug. Our mayor arrived with a pride pin on, which is fine in his private life, but to do that in such a meeting didn't seem quite right. They had allowed the other side to come in over an hour ahead of time and kept us out of the room, saying it was for the protection of the children that were there from the high school's GSAs, if we were dangerous to them. And clearly they had made up their minds. They had zoomed in Randy Boissonneau to lecture us all on how we need to be more tolerant. And their whole attitude was very dismissive. And after the meeting, someone had approached me with the idea of doing a petition. So at that point, we had to really stop and consider it, because that is a lot of work. We made it to every house in the town. We devoted our summer to it, and we didn't have a large team going door to door. There were 3 main people that really just got out there and gave their summer to this. And we made it to every house, and we got enough signatures. We needed to get 400 and I think about 90 signatures, because we're quite a small town. We just need 10% of the population. And we got a little over 700 signatures on the petition, which forced the council to either pass the bylaw or hold the vote for the town to vote on it. And obviously they did not just say, okay, we'll pass the bylaw. They were doubling down. They were going to fight this, but it did force them to hold a vote on it and allow the town to decide.
Right. Well, that's excellent. Actually, your town is maybe close to the same size as Smithers. We're about 5,000, maybe a little bit over. So it's very similar in nature. And the things here are done, of course, also very much a political motivation behind these kinds of decisions, to say that this is just a welcoming, a symbol of welcoming is a little bit of a stretch, because it certainly doesn't feel welcoming to those who are representing, as we do, sort of family values. And I mean, we love the real rainbow in the sky that God created, but when it's painted on a sidewalk or on a flag, it means something, and everybody understands that it's a pressure point and a point of influence with young people. And I'm surprised at the strength of the resistance, like within these town councils. They seem to be adamant that they can't give an inch on these things. I think your approach for neutrality, you weren't asking to overturn the message. You just said that it's not a place for the message, that the town should not be taking a position on these issues.
Well, our council's strongest smear campaign against this was that we were against the Pride community of Westlock. And we just kept saying the truth over and over and over. We are not against these people at all. I have members in my family that is their lifestyle, and I love them. And they will always be my family. I don't want to erase them or for them to disappear, but it's very important that the government remains neutral in matters of ideology or contentious things like this. And as I said before, I definitely believe that this is creating more division, not unity, and the government just needs to stay in its own lane.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Are there other issues, like now that you've got your feet wet in the political realm there, not that was your intention to jump in, but you felt you had to. Are there other issues that are, brewing in your community or your area, your district, that are equally compelling to you to get involved and try to make a difference?
Well, right now we've decided we're just going to take a break for now and rest. The last 8 months have been rough. We were aware that if we touched the crosswalk, we would be poking a very large bear, and we get the wrath of the politicians, the media, and a lot of activist groups with a lot of money behind them. We are aware of that and decided we need to go ahead anyways. And yeah, so now we're gonna take a bit of a break. I do have two kids. We run our own business. I homeschool my kids. So yeah, we need to take a little bit of
Yeah.
time here and see. But we would like to see the town come together again. This has been hard on the town, and we would like to see what we can do to help the town grow back together again and care for people. We had hosted a block party afterwards. I had contacted my cousin Lilith. She's on the other side of the issue. She's part of the Pride community. And I said, what if we just threw a block party? Let's invite everybody before we know what the results will be. And that way neither side will feel patronized. And let's say, let's call it the I don't agree with you, but I love you block party.
Wow.
I got permission from the town. I got permission from one of the local mall owners to use their lot, and we brought in a live band, and we encouraged people to bring their barbecue. So there was barbecue happening, and said, if either way, whichever way, if the bylaw passes or not, whichever way you vote, please just come. We know it's been a rough year, and we could just use the music and the sunshine. And unfortunately, after the results were known, my cousin did back out a couple hours before the event, but we did have a few members of the no side of it come and just say hi, just like, I don't agree with you, but hello. And I told them, I really appreciate you just coming face to face, because things online can get acrimonious very quickly. And
Yeah.
I've tried always to be online caring and polite, but I think if you're actually face to face with somebody, especially in a small town, it's a lot harder to feel that they are the bad guy.
No, that's excellent. I'm so impressed with that because that is right. We are citizens. The cancel culture, the idea that if you don't agree with me on absolutely everything, that you're not worthy to be my fellow citizen is such a terrible approach to life. It has destroyed, even families and certainly communities. I think, our view is that the current government in Ottawa has done more to divide Canadians along racial lines, along religious lines, ethnic backgrounds, even, political views. I think the country is more divided now than it's been, for decades. And I sure hope that we can find a way of pulling the strings back together. You're absolutely right. Just because someone has a different point of view doesn't mean that they're not a person who's worthy of being interacted with, listened to, and appreciated as a fellow human being.
Yes.
So I have to really commend you for taking that step. That's great. We've had in our town, aside from the issue of the Pride crosswalk and so on, been a lot of conflict over the recent years in terms of COVID lockdowns and things like that. Of course, many in our town supported the Freedom Convoy and had concerns about the lockdowns. Others, felt no, we should obey the government. And some of those people are very good friends of mine. We have decided to believe different people, I guess, different sources of information, but that should not make us enemies. I think even Abraham Lincoln, during the Civil War, said that the conflict had divided them, but it must not must not make them enemies, right? I mean, they were physically on the battlefield fighting for something, but he saw beyond the end of the war that they had to try to bring the country back together. And that's what we should be trying to do. So how old are your children?
I have a 2-year-old girl and a 7-year-old girl, two daughters.
Okay, wonderful. And how did they I mean, obviously you were busy doing these things. How did they take the additional activity in your family?
Oh, they've been wonderful. And my husband, he's one of the people that went out door to door over and over again in the community and risked having people, getting angry at him, because it's just something you have to do. Like, people are going to get upset. Though really, by and large, the people for or against this were very polite and Canadian about it. The only real vitriol came online or from our council and mayor. But yeah, they've handled it really well. They've been good, and there's a lot that it doesn't affect their lives too much because,
Right.
as I said, we homeschool and we do a home business, so we're both around a lot and able to just be there with them.
Excellent. And have you had a lot of contact from the media, like CBC, CTV? Yeah.
That's CBC, CTV, Global, uh, Epic Times, Rebel, True North, etc. Yeah, everyone seems to be we're the flavor of the day. I don't think it'll last for very long, but the idea, I hope, will spread and will last.
Yeah. Very good. Stephanie, anything else that you'd like to be sure our viewers and listeners know, or some kind of inspiration for them? I think just the fact that you've taken this step and done the hard work and have seen it through to a conclusion is already an inspiration. But anything you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners while we're still on the line here?
If you would like to do anything like this in your town, do it from a place of love. We don't need more division. We don't need more hate put out there. And they'll say that you are doing it out of hate, but just keep saying it in love over and over. Keep just saying the truth and be prepared to take a lot of heat because it's going to
Yeah.
come. But if we don't, we will.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I think my friend always says, if not us, who? If not now, when? So very good. Thank you for what you have done. You've set a good example for citizens across the country to get involved in these issues. Not just this one, but there are many issues about which Canadians, we could be complacent and just allow things to happen, or we could be proactive and raise our voices in a loving manner and try to swing the country in a better direction, especially to eliminate some of this divisiveness that has been plaguing us for these number of years now. So,
yes, and if anybody would like to get in contact with us about it, we have a website, westlockneutrality.com. So,
westlockneutrality.com. We'll put that in the show notes. I'm just making a note of that.
not that we have a lot of sage advice other than just go do it. It won't be pleasant. Go do it.
Yeah, very good. Well, that's the thing. We all want life to be pleasant and easy and with no conflict and no disruptions. But I think that's a daydream to think that we can be quiet and complacent and not be involved. That's the old saying, when good men and women do nothing, that's the only thing necessary for tyranny to triumph, and we certainly don't want that in our country. So Stephanie Bakker of Westlock, Alberta, thank you very much. Thank you for your work. Thank you for spending time with us today. God bless you. Greetings to your husband and family, and get the rest you need, because I'm sure there's something else up ahead for you.
Thank you, Rod, so much.
God bless you. Bye-bye.